Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another lesson of Learning English with the News, where I take a few headlines and I point out some of the words that I think might be complicated to non-native speakers. So today we're going to learn the phrasal verb to look out for something. We're going to learn the phrasal verb to turn out, the verb to underscore something, and then we're going to take a look at the word the scope, talking about the scope of something. And we're also going to learn how you can use the verb to hold when talking about an event. And finally, we'll look at the phrase to clear hurdles. So let's go ahead and dive into our first headline. A new report says coronavirus pandemic could last for 2 years and may not subside until 70% of the population has immunity. So I just want to real quickly look at this word last here, right? So this is kind of difficult because the word last has two meanings. It's an adjective. For example, I could say I was the last person in my family to graduate. It means that everyone in my family graduated before me and I was the last person, right? So that's an adjective, right? It's modifying me. It's describing something regarding me, right? We also use it as a verb, and the verb is to last, and what that means is basically the duration of something, right? How long something will be in existence. We say to last, how long the duration of it will be, right? So the movie lasts 2 hours. The movie lasts 2 hours. That means it's a 2-hour movie. That's how long it takes. This headline here says that the coronavirus pandemic could last for 2 years. It means it could be 2 years. It could take 2 years before this pandemic is under control, right? So that's what it means to last. So just an important note to make, the last can be an adjective, but it also can be a verb referring to the duration of something. And then just since I have this headline up, the word subside. This is also a verb in this case. That just means it may not like calm down. It may not be under control or be less of a threat. It might not subside. Moving on to the next headline. So the next headline is coronavirus, 5 skin conditions associated with COVID-19 to look out for. So this is a phrasal verb I just want to look at real quick. We use this phrasal verb to talk about being alert, being on the lookout for something, right? That's another way we can say it. But if we say look out for something, just means to keep your attention high. And if you see this, then, it's something to be alarmed about. So in this case, look out for these skin conditions, right? Look out for these. It just means, have that in your kind of pre-mindset, your vision, have that on your radar, we can say, right? So if you're looking out for something, it means that you are, you're being cautious, right? You're being alert, that if you see that, you know it's a sign of action. You should take action if you see these skin conditions. So I could also say, for example, look out for the mailman, right? Look out for the mailman. I'm expecting some important mail. Look out for the mailman. Advocates say huge turnout for food distribution underscores scope of need. So a lot of people have probably had a little bit of difficulty with this word turnout. In this case, we use turnout to talk about the attendance. There were a lot of people who turned out. So it's a phrasal verb. The phrasal verb is to turn out. It has two meanings. One is to talk about how things ended, right? I think this cake that I baked turned out very well. But we also talk about it in terms of how many people showed up. If there were a lot of people who turned out, that means there were a lot of people who appeared. They turned out for an event, for example. So this huge turnout for food distribution underscores. So underscoring it's not really commonly used, but it's a word that means to emphasize, right? To highlight. Underscore is that little line, you see it a lot in email addresses to separate a first and last name. It'll be first name underscore last name at whatever email. So that's what it means to underscore something. And then in this case, scope might be a little bit difficult to understand, but scope talks about the size of the need, right? The scope is very large. It's a large scope. The way I remember this is I think of like a microscope, right? The scope being referring to the visual aspects of a microscope, right? So a scope being small or large. This scope is large. So basically, what this headline is saying, in other words, is that there was a large turnout for food distribution. There were a lot of people who came to this charity for food distribution, and this is emphasizing the large need of food during this crisis. And moving on to the next headline. This one says, SpaceX NASA hold press conference, historic astronaut launch clears final hurdles before readiness. So this one should be pretty straightforward, but I want to just point out that when we talk about like press conferences, we will use the verb to hold a press conference. So that might confuse you because to hold is commonly a verb, like I am holding a phone right now, right? But we also use it to talk about formal meetings. We'll say they're holding a press conference, or the city council member is holding a question and answer session. It just means that they are putting on this event. They are having this event. But it's kind of a rare context, like you wouldn't say they are holding a basketball game, but it's more for formal meetings, conferences, public relations sort of things. We'll use the verb to hold. And then to clear final hurdles. So this is basically a figurative term we use to talk about overcoming obstacles. You clear hurdles. Hurdles are the objects that you jump over when you're running a race. You jump over the hurdles. So we use hurdles a lot to refer to obstacles. A quick note also on the word clear here. So this word is functioning as a verb, right? To clear the final hurdles. It basically means to clear the obstacles, or to overcome the obstacles, to clear something. We use that as an adjective, right? It's a beautiful, clear day outside. The sky is completely clear. There's nothing in the sky. But we also use it as a verb to clear something, right? So we use it to talk about jumping over something, to get through something without having any obstructions. We clear it, right? So that could be one way of using it. Another way you would commonly hear it is like in business, when you have to clear something with your boss. It means you have to get approval from your boss. You have to basically clear that obstacle of your boss being in the way of you doing something. So you have to clear it with the boss. The boss gives you the all clear, or gives you the okay, and you have cleared it with your boss. So that's another way we can use this word clear as a verb. Right, that's it for today's lesson. So just to review, we talked about the phrasal verb to look out for something, like to be alert, to turn out in terms of the turnout of people who came to an event, to underscore, meaning to emphasize or highlight, and then the scope, meaning the size of something, to hold an event, which means to put on an event or to have an event, and to clear hurdles, which means to overcome obstacles. All right, I hope you enjoyed the lesson today and that you were able to learn a couple of new phrasal verbs and expressions, and you feel a little more confident reading news headlines and hopefully using some of those expressions and phrases. Anyway, we will see you next time. Keep studying and keep learning.